Well, we are joined for the next couple of segments by an amazing individual. Her determination to go and live for months on end out in the scrub brush next door to Lord Bush's compound, his fake cowboy set, really became a focal point of a woman they couldn't attack. She lost her son, who bravely fought in Iraq, and she's Cindy Sheehan. She has been a great leader to all of us, a great example. She's also become a 9/11 Truth leader in the last year. And I know myself, Willie Nelson, Jesse Ventura, others I've talked to behind the scenes about her, just admire her and think of her every day. And we just appreciate her running against that monster, Nancy Pelosi, that deceiver who said that, they would bring justice in the war, impeach Bush, and all they've done is protect him. All they've done is fawn after him, and it's just unbelievably evil. Hundreds of thousands have died in Iraq since they got in almost 2 years ago. And if we were to listen to Cindy Sheehan and the other mothers and fathers of these dead troops, close to 1 million people wouldn't be dead right now. Cindy Sheehan, thanks for coming on with us, and I'm so glad you're running for the House seat of Nancy Pelosi.
Hi, Alex. It's great to be on your show again.
It's great to have you there. Well, tell us why you're running, how we can support you, and then let's break down what's happening in the current world and your take on it.
Well, I'm running, and I've been on your show, of course, a couple times, I think, since I announced. But I'm running because, just what you said, Nancy Pelosi has failed to hold the criminals, the war criminals, the criminals against our own Constitution responsible, the Bush regime. And she has failed to use her power to bring the troops home from Iraq and Afghanistan. And, as a matter of fact, she has appropriated a bill with $163 billion that would fund the occupations through next June. So I think that the Democrats and the Republicans are co-equally responsible for what's happening in the world today, from the degradation of the environment to the collapse of our economy to the astronomical energy prices to the destruction of our Constitution. And we have to realize that we have to break away from just blind party loyalty to, if we're ever going to solve these deep, deep, horrible problems that are plaguing our nation and our world right now.
Well, you're absolutely right. And the last time I had you on was probably 6-7 months ago when you were considering, if she didn't move to end the war, impeachment, to run. But now you're officially in the heat of this battle.
That was a year ago. Alex.
Okay, well,
I announced July 23rd of last year that I was going to run against her. And, yeah, we are definitely in the right. And we've been in San Francisco now for over a year. We've been consolidating our support. We just went through an enormous task to collect 10,198 signatures to get me on the ballot. And now we're ready to rock and roll in this campaign and just be very aggressive.
Well, I'll tell you this, if there's not there's not election fraud, you should win. What are the polls trending? What are they showing?
Well, we haven't had any polls done yet. We haven't been able to afford to do any polls. But we're looking into that now because, fortunately, with the Nancy's performance or non-performance, our donations have gone up. So we're going to check into polls, and I already know what's important to the people of San Francisco, and I'm fully 100% behind there. As to election fraud, that's always a major issue, but we're going to have hundreds of people out on Election Day sitting on polls, a team of lawyers, an election fraud hotline, and we're going to do everything that's possible to try and prevent that.
Well, Nancy Pelosi is really starting to run scared right now. Our guest is Cindy Sheehan, and she is running against the monster that is the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. We're going to talk more with her on the other side of this quick break.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Let's talk Turkey. Barack Obama is run by the same globalists, same neocons that control George Bush. He's going to continue all this. John McCain's going to continue it all. They're co-guilty, as Cindy Sheehan was just saying, and the Democrats in the House, they voted for the secret warrantless spying on American people. I got a Washington Post article admitting all the police state upgrades, the federalization. It's all being seamlessly transferred to whoever gets elected. The military-industrial complex, the bomb makers, want it that way. It's going to be that way. You have 80+% of the American people in most polls, some say 75, but that's still the majority, who don't want more wars, who don't want all this to happen. Now the U.S. through Georgia has attacked Russia. The public's so brainwashed that they're being told Russia started it. I mean, this is dangerous. And all these top generals and experts have said this could start World War III. They want to go into Iran. It's common sense. It's constitutional. It's the will of the people. We need to hold them accountable. And how do we do that? Electing. And that will be a major defeat if we take out these evil Democrats and put real anti-war people like the great lady we're talking to. And I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. Get us out of the war. Give us back our liberties and freedoms. You know, we're taking them back. Can you comment on that, Cindy Sheehan? How important it is for everybody to give you support. This is one of the most key House races probably that I've ever heard of, ever thought of. I mean, you're going right for one of the twin heads that is allowing this mass murder to continue in Iraq.
No, that's absolutely right. Like we were saying before, there's very little difference between John McCain and Barack Obama on many key issues that are really important to this country and the world. Militarism, of course, Barack Obama wants to increase militarism. He wouldn't be where he was unless he has sold out to the military-industrial complex and AIPAC, which John McCain also has. And he wouldn't be where he is if he wasn't a puppet or a tool of the war machine. So it's so important to elect independent people like me to Congress to hold these people accountable and take, I could have walked into many districts in this country and won easily. I could have, beaten a Republican or a blue dog Democrat in many, many districts, and it would have been an easy race. But this is hitting them where it fundamentally hurts. Nancy Pelosi, no matter what people say, how she's a right-wing liberal, a left-wing liberal or whatever, she's not. She's also part of the system that suppresses us, oppresses us, and keeps us in these wars. And attacking them right there is attacking them right in the gut, in the very... I think it is extremely, and it's an extremely important election. And if we take Nancy Pelosi out of her seat, that means that there's going to be 534 members of Congress that know that the American public means business and that we want a true change in direction, not just empty rhetoric, but a true change in course. And I think this will be very, very significant and a very historical moment for our country to really become the country that people say we are, and to create a new paradigm of peace, accountability, and economic equality.
Well, I'll say this, Cindy. I've come from, quote, the right, but I don't believe in the left-right paradigm anymore. But,
no, I don't either.
Exactly, but growing up. But I have to say, Democrats wouldn't wake up to some of Bill Clinton's corruption and attack on Serbia, but Republicans have really shown themselves to be slavish to George Bush and all of his evil that isn't even conservative in the classical sense, but just fascist. Now I have to say I'm really glad to see a lot of people, quote, on the traditional left really shattering their paradigm and really getting it and getting a lot of courage and understanding the anti-war movement's infiltrated, which has come out by military intelligence and others to neutralize it, and foundation money, who realized and are saying, yeah, a lot of terror is provocateur or government-sponsored. And I'm seeing a lot of real courage by what you'd call the traditional left right now. Can you speak to that?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking
No, I understand some folks just got in your car, and what I'm saying is I'm seeing more resistance to this and it being nonpartisan from people I see on the left. The biggest awakening I'm seeing is on the left. They're not being taken for a ride by the Democratic Party for year after year being lied to. They're not as gullible to their own party as Republicans are.
I'm seeing a little shift in that. When I first announced last summer that I was leaving the Democratic Party, and then I announced I was running against Nancy Pelosi as an independent, there was, I got so smeared and attacked so badly by the so-called left that I see that they feel the same sense of betrayal by this two-party system.